Hi guys, Trevor Goodwin here from tnutrition and Clear Farm, and with me today I've got
The Guerrilla Chemist, live from Florida, my hometown.
and today we're going to be talking about muscle building products, performance enhancing products, mainly creatine based, but there's a few other funky ingredients we want to give some detail on too, and that work through different mechanisms. But I think it's only right to firstly start with creatine. Obviously it's been around for I think 111 years. It's one of the most researched ingredients in sports nutrition.
I think it is the most researched ingredient in sports nutrition.
There's numerous different forms, but we'll go over that now. Should we start with the classic monohydrate?
Monohydrate's the one that has been studied the most and proven time and time again to work. Whether it's you load on it or you don't load on it, it is proven to, increase cell hydration, increase strength, increase ATP production. So all the other newer types of creatine try and differentiate from monohydrate, but none of them have. There's not been a single study that showed it did anything better than monohydrate with regards to performance. Only solubility, and solubility doesn't necessarily translate to bioavailability. So things like creatine hydrochloride, creatine nitrate, those are found to be more soluble. But even the studies when they did head-to-head on those showed that it didn't outperform monohydrate even at the same dose. They were trying to say that lower doses should be needed because it's more soluble, but they did a 5 gram to 5 gram dose and it didn't do anything more than monohydrate did. So I would say don't waste your money on other types of creatine. Ethyl ester is the worst. Stay away from that one. That one readily converts into creatinine, which is the byproduct of creatine. So the hydrochloric salt and the nitrate are more soluble than monohydrate, but as far as performance goes, there's nothing that has been published to show that any of them are better than monohydrate.
Cool. Let's move on to another popular ingredient, beta-alanine.
So if you follow me, you know I'm not a huge fan of beta-alanine. I don't like the paresthesia. You do need to take a lot of it. Most people take it incorrectly, like in a pre-workout only. You need to take 180 grams over a course of time to build up enough muscle carnosine, I think, for it to work. I think 30% was the number, the increase in muscle carnosine levels from taking 180 grams, which was done over 4 weeks, and it was done 4 times a day, I believe. So 1.2 grams, 4 times a day, for 7 days a week for 4 weeks is how they loaded that and got that number of 180 grams. So it's not something that works acutely. I don't think that you can take beta-alanine and on workout 1, you'll really notice anything other than paresthesia and the itching. But it's something that if you take enough of it over a long enough period of time, it could help with increasing time to exhaustion and decreasing lactic acid buildup, specifically the acidic proton ions that build up from lactic acid. That's what carnosine buffers.
Yeah.
And so that's really the main touted benefit of beta-alanine. But to put it in a pre-workout, it's really no purpose other than it's experiential. If you do that, you feel the tingling. So a lot of people think it works.
Nice. Let's move on to betaine, otherwise known as trimethylglycine.
Betaine is one of my favorites. I like it. It's an osmolyte. It attracts a lot of water to your cells, just like creatine. The studies on betaine at 2.5 grams were really good as far as increasing performance. I think peak power and time to exhaustion, I believe, were the metrics of the study. Betaine is something that I think you can feel, because it does kind of give you that cell hydration and volumization effect. It is something that works better the more you take it, so not just acutely. So I would consistently take betaine for at least a month in order to get the full benefits of the molecule. And I think betaine works well with other osmolytes like creatine and glycerol, things of that nature.
Yeah. I know it's not in any of these products, but we'll touch briefly on Pico 2, the mushroom blend.
I like Pico 2 a lot. I think it works well for time to exhaustion, peak power, I think the mushrooms have multiple mechanisms of action compared to beta-alanine, which just has the one mechanism of action of increasing carnosine. So in my opinion, I would much rather take Pico 2. The loading period is much less. It's only 28 grams. So if you take 4 grams a day for a week, your muscles are saturated with enough for it to have an effect, versus trying to get 180 grams from beta-alanine. So I really like Pico 2 personally as an endurance type of ingredient.
Nice. Okay, we'll speak about L-ornithine now, and L-ornithine L-aspartate.
So this
essentially the
right.
one, yeah.
So the study on L-ornithine aspartate used 6.2 grams, and it essentially what ornithine does is it can help recycle ammonia. So when you break down muscle tissue, one of the byproducts is ammonia, and that floats around, and that can do damage to your muscles, and it can decrease your endurance and performance. And so ornithine is something that circles around and binds to ammonia and helps get rid of it through the body. But it has to be at a large enough dose. 6.2 grams was the study for the ornithine L-aspartate, which is roughly 4 grams of ornithine, like HCl or something.
Hydrochlor, yeah. Cool. Let's briefly touch on ashwagandha, because essentially that is a performance enhancing product. Obviously it's an adaptogen, but
right. So an adaptogen is something that's natural, that's safe, that can only benefit your body. And so ashwagandha is one of those that has a lot of benefits, including increasing testosterone in males and females, decreasing cortisol in males and females. I think that it's something that you take for a good period of time, 12 weeks or more, and you will notice the effects by taking it. It can help balance out your hormones, not just testosterone, but I think there were studies or data for thyroid as well. It's one of those adaptogens that over time works better in your body. 600 milligrams is the studied dose for a day, 300 milligrams twice a day for most, get most of the benefits from it. And not only that, there's also, unrelated to muscle building, but sleep benefits and cognitive benefits from it as well.
For sure. Let's touch briefly, and I know you're not that much of a fan, but HMB, a metabolite of leucine.
So HMB is a metabolite of leucine, works really, really well to fight sarcopenia, which is age-related muscle breakdown or muscle loss. So in the elderly population, it's something that can be a lifesaver. As far as building muscle, I haven't seen a whole lot of data to suggest that it can actually build muscle tissue, but I think the jury's out on it. I think they're doing more and more research on HMB, and I know the ISSN just released something in favor of HMB. I forgot exactly what it said, but they were saying that it does all of these things, and they backed it, and so the ISSN is pretty well respected.
Yeah.
So I would have to do more data, but I remember looking at it with an old company I was with, and the main thing I saw was preventing muscle loss.
Yeah.
Via sarcopenia. I don't know how much it does though for actually building muscle. So I'd like to see more studies on that.
Sure. HICA.
HICA is another metabolite of leucine. It's one of the newer ones within the last couple years. The main benefits of HICA were shown to decrease DOMS, which is delayed onset muscle soreness. There's not a whole lot of actual studies on it to see if it builds any muscle tissue or if it can activate mTOR in that way, the same way leucine can. I think that it can help with strength more than anything, and recovery possibly, and especially if you're not getting sore, then you can train harder the next time or the next day or something like that. So I like HICA. I think the study dose is 1,500 milligrams.
Yeah.
So 500 3 times a day is what they used. So look for a right dose of that too.
Nice. We'll touch briefly on Spectra, which is essentially an antioxidant blend.
Right. So they market Spectra as a total ORAC blend, and ORAC is not really scientifically valid. The way that they measure the free radical potential is in vitro with fluorescence, and it doesn't translate necessarily to in vivo in the body. So I think ORAC is scientifically garbage. Essentially, that doesn't mean Spectra is garbage.
No, no.
But
Honesty.
that what ORAC means when they say this is a high ORAC value of this or that, I think that there's a meaningless value. Spectra does have a huge blend of plants for antioxidants, and I do believe it does have that power. And they're even releasing Spectra now to, a study that shows it can increase endogenous NO production via free radical elimination.
Yeah.
So that's one of the new studies that are coming out. So you'll start to see Spectra now in pump products because it can increase endogenous NO levels. So it's not a garbage ingredient by any means. It just ORAC in general is not really looked at as a valid scientific method for free radicals.
Just three more, I think. I know you're not a big fan of it. Epicatogen.
So we were just going over that study of epicatogen, and as far as decreasing myostatin by increasing follistatin, they didn't publish the data in the study, and they said it increased the ratio of follistatin to myostatin, which is good. It was 49% plus or minus almost 17%. So that tells you that there's a huge standard deviation in the people that took it, and then not publishing what the placebo did. Who knows how much it really helped? They did claim that in rats it increased muscle in younger rats and older rats in the tissue. It showed that in humans, the increased grip strength was one of the ways they were testing muscle, if it built muscle and strength. I just didn't like the way the study was done. I think more data needs to be done. Yeah, has to be done to see whether or not it pans out.
But that's the idea behind it, is to decrease myostatin and therefore increasing follistatin.
The other way around, increasing follistatin to decrease myostatin. Yeah,
because it's a myostatin inhibitor.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, we'll edit that bit out. Next up on the list, I'm going to say cocoa alkaloids. There's numerous different types. There's cocoa-butyrol and there's cocodrol, but I'm pretty sure it's cocoa alkaloids that they're after in terms of I think there's some fat burning effects. Correct me if I'm wrong. There's some VO2 effects maybe, and there's some muscle building effects as well.
So cocoa-butyrol, I think, is for theobromine, correct?
Yeah, I think it one of the alkaloids it contains is theobromine.
That's what it's standardized for, though, I believe, right? Theobromine. Okay. So I don't know. I haven't seen a muscle building study on a cocoa extract. I know that there are tons of alkaloids in there, and I don't know if we know what all of them do or not. I have seen what you were talking about with VO2, so increasing performance possibly that way. Mm-hmm. And some of the compounds may be beta-2 agonists or adrenal agonists, so they could increase metabolism, central nervous system, so they could be a performance enhancer that way. I don't know about as far as muscle building, though. I'd have to see more data on that. Mm-hmm. And what was the other one? Cocodrol?
Cocodrol, yeah.
I
just think that's a trademarked extract.
Okay. So I'm not sure what would be in that, what it's standardized for. It doesn't say, but I'm sure 25 milligrams is not enough.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Because I know cocoa-butyrol, I think, is a higher dose.
Yeah, 100 milligram.
So
4 times the dose.
Right. So it really just depends on what they're standardizing for in the cocoa extract. And like I said, I haven't seen much about the muscle data, but I'd be interested to see it if it's out there.
Yeah, for sure. And just a quick shout about estrogen. Obviously, there's six products in front of us. 5 of them all contain estrogen, anywhere between 25 and 50 milligrams, which is the clinical dose, I believe. Off the top of my head, I can't remember the exact absorption rates for the exact category, such as certain amino acids, beta-alanine,
creatine. Yeah.
But there is certainly studies out there to show. I'm not quite sure the mechanism of absorption. If you want to talk about that.
I think it has to do through your intestine, in your lumen. So they increase certain transporters that will increase. So amino acids, peptides are usually get into your cells via transporters, which are just small molecules that they bind to the amino acid and they bring it inside the cell. I think the main mechanism of action is increasing those transporters. So it works inside your intestinal, in your lumen, to bring them into your body. So I don't know the percentages either, but we looked a little bit: creatine, arginine, curcumin, a lot of things that peptides, leucine, things that you wouldn't expect need to be more bioavailable, but this, or not more bioavailable. We don't know if absorption increases bioavailability. It didn't mention that in the study. We do know that it increases the absorption of them. So
yeah, that's it. There's a couple of great compounds, ingredients there for muscle building and performance. Thank you very much for watching. Remember, all these products are available at tnutrition.com with free delivery. So hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.